bonus footage, folks. We've got the helicopter up and we'll stick with it as long as we can. We'll lay out and let you enjoy the pictures as well. Right at the front there, is that a sail tie on the bow there flapping around? Why do they have that there?
That would be a sail tie. When they go for a jib change, then often they'll strap the head of the jib down to the deck just to keep it really low profile, not in the water, all tidy and clean. Or if they go for, if they need to change a halyard out, then they'll use those sail ties just to protect.
Onboard audio as well. You kidding? Oh well, maybe I spoke too soon. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. Hauling the mail. Amazing. 30 knots of boat speed, and it's blowing 25 to 28 right now, and the call is for the breeze to increase all the way through the night up to about 30 knots, and the seas are going to be a bit of an issue. They were talking about it being quite steep chop up to 3.5 or even 4 meter waves. What sort of pressure does that put on the boats?
Yeah, so they just have to control the bouncing around, really. But at this angle, you can just kind of drive through the waves, and sort of your goal is to accelerate over the top of them there. You see the bow coming flying up out of the water and then crashing down on the backside. You're just trying to manage that and not really, you know, bounce around too hard, no real smacking on the bow, but just trying to surf it through. Oh, big waves from the main trimmer there. How great is that? They are loving life.
And then the big wave comes right over the boat, and this is what they're going to be dealing with for certainly the next 4 days. Look at that, beautiful. This is Map Frey. Oh.
Just slicing through the waves, bit of surfing, bit of flying.
Look at that, they're triple bagged. They've got 3 sails up at the front, more than the Dongfeng had.
Yeah. Interesting.
So what's that? That's the masthead 0, the 2, the J2 and the J3.
That's correct, yep. J2, J3. I think one thing they've learned even in towards the end of the last race was that there's enough space there for all 3 of those sails. We talk about the slot of the wind traveling between there and the mainsail, adding more power, more stability, and a bit more sail area.
Well, props to the helicopter pilot and the cameraman, Matt Connor, up there. He is a pro. If ever you see this sort of sailing footage, you can imagine it's Matt Connor or his mate Adam who are doing the pictures. They're amazing. Let's watch. Blair Tuke in the middle there. He's just looks like he's tidying up. He won a gold and silver medal, a silver in London and a gold in Rio, and then he won the America's Cup. Can he win the coveted and yet to be won in sailing history Triple Crown, as well as winning the Volvo Ocean Race? And the only other person who has a shot at that is Peter Burling, who's on board Team Brunel, and it really is quite possible for Blair Tuke to do it. Look at that, he's used to foiling catamarans on closed courses, and he is getting a real education out there of what ocean sailing is all about.
Good techniques there, tidying up the halyards. Nice and clean, laying it over the top, and they'll tidy every line on the boat and pack it away so that the water just doesn't drag it right off the stern, you don't lose it, but also if anything goes wrong, you have to be really ready to furl, drop, or rehoist the sail, and that's just all the preparation into having a nice clean boat.
No one down below yet. They won't start the watch system for a while, Sally. When does that usually happen? When did it happen on SCA after you left on these legs?
It depends, you know. Once you make that final turning mark and the stack is sorted, the ballast is sorted, the trim is sorted, it takes a little while for everybody to settle down. Right here, this is the best place for all the weight on the boat. So if nobody's tired, I mean, it's still only 3 in the afternoon, so nobody needs a nap yet. They'll just stack on that back rail, try to really press through this fleet. You know, Map Frey had a little bit to gain here, so they'll hang out.
So it's not board. Wow. Team Brunel. Well, if you're sitting at home quietly and comfortably on your couch or sofa watching this, imagine what these teams, these men and women, are about to go through. Burling, who we were just talking about.
That was a big one.
The pressure on the rig.
Yeah. Pressure on the rig, pressure on the just everything. The guy on the bow there trying to sort the sheets over the boards.
Tidying up, you said. Very important to get the boat all set. Alberto Bolzan, is that the front there? That's the bowman, Alberto Bolzan. The Dutch, 4-time winners of the Volvo Ocean Race in its history since the start in 1973. He's won the America's Cup with Team USA. Sally, just talk to us about, we're seeing these waves crashing over the boat. I mean, it's relentless. This is going to be going on for 4 whole days. Not a moment of rest in this breeze, pushing the boats to their absolute limit. Just give us an insight into how intense that is.
It's super intense. I mean, the whole...
Sailing lesson.
Just gives you an idea how...
You can't even hear what the conversation is on board the boat, let alone when we've got the mics up. 2 microphones, 7 cameras on board these boats are going to bring the action to you live and direct over the next 3 weeks. Here we go on board. Annie Lush right there from the chopper.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's Maciel Cicchetti just giving that little very frank summary of what he wanted to happen next.
Yeah. What a cool way to see the dynamic of the boat, listening to the comms and seeing how much they have to sort out. All these different sheets. They're putting a safety sheet on the fro there in case something goes wrong, re-leading it, having the jockey pull out to make sure it has the right angle, and tidying up everything else on the bow.
So we're calling that the outrigger now.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
outrigger.
The jockey pole's something that you whip a horse with, we reckon. So it's
Fair
an
enough.
outrigger that pushes that lead of the sail just to leeward. Stunning, stunning pictures. A real treat for us, and this is a little bonus extra from the helicopter. And the helicopter is getting very far away, so they are... Oh, bow cam on Brunel. Are you kidding? Awesome. Let's see if we can scroll through some of the onboard cameras just to give you an insight into some of the positions that we're going to be recording from. Inmarsat do a great job. There we go. Streaming live off the Inmarsat Sailor Satcom. When you next have problems with your Wi-Fi, appreciate this. It's going all the way up to a satellite, streaming from the bow of Team Brunel. Fantastic technology. What a time to be alive. Live shots from Dongfeng. They are hauling them out. It's so fast. What a treat. Oh.
Wow. Wish you were out there, huh?
Right. Thanks, Thomas. Wow, 30 knots. I can tell you that is 30 knots and more. And the breeze is from the north. And so the weight of the breeze, they say, is just that more. Sally, what's that all about?
Yeah, sometimes when the breeze comes from the north, it's like a colder, stronger breeze and heavier. So it has like more of a punch to it. If it's a warmer, generally from the south, a lighter, softer breeze, then, it doesn't feel as powerful. But today we have some strong, strong wind for them to blast away in.
Sung Hung Kai Scallywag. I think we're getting towards the end of the range of the helicopter as it follows the boats out. Just enjoy these pictures. Oh, could you hand up a dry towel, please?
What amazing shots.
Both boards up.
Yep.
That's because they're going down, basically downwind, right?
Yep. Basically downwind, don't need the traction of the boards, don't need the drag.
I can see Sally has just started to play with her worry beads a little bit. How does it feel, Sally? Just come on.
Getting a little jealous sitting here in this chair. But, you know, these guys are just, this is what every single sailor out there is living for. Just ripping along, and once you get a chance to get on the helm, it's just like, yeah, you just kind of get set free.
It's like a sort of skateboard, downhill skateboard on the ocean.
Yeah, so much fun. So much feel in these boats. Really, you get to drive it around over and on top and through the waves, and just trying to control the bow there, making sure it doesn't go too high or too low, diving into the backside of the wave. And
they're responsive boats to drive.
Really responsive boats to drive, and you know, all apparent wind sailing. So what that means is the faster you go, the more you trim the sails on, and the faster you can keep going, which is amazing. Big old stack there.
So that was all the jibs there, and then now they're stacking the spinnakers on top of the jibs. They'll be heavy.
They'll be heavy, yep. Really heavy. Take a few people to move each of those sails, but you can see how they didn't get it quite all the way to the back of the boat, and that's actually one of the techniques of a good team. Good teamwork is a real clean stack. You don't want it so high. You don't need a big high profile. You want it nice and tidy, as far back as you can get it. Sometimes you turn the jib around because the luff of the jib is a bit bigger than the leech, and so you take the effort to turn it around. Big old straps to strap everything in. You don't lose anything overboard. Quite important.
You have to build those wheels nice and solid, right?
Oh yeah, and they'll carry a spare wheel down below, just in case somebody wipes out into it and breaks it. It's all carbon.
That happens when?
Generally, if the boat does wipe out, a person might fall into it. If you get actually physically wiped off the wheel as some of these waves come crashing over the deck, and you hold on to the wheel, you might take it with you. So they're strong and solid, but they're not bulletproof.
Let's listen in.
What about the stuff out of the galley? Huh? No, like the food that was in the galley. Yeah, it's already there.
I think someone's talking about doing the washing up in the galley. No.
Actually, I think what that's on me, just making sure everything is stacked in the back of the bus. Is they probably had some fresh food, whatever they ate just before they started racing, left in the galley. Let's just make sure that it's all the way to the very back of the boat. They're really trying to get that bow up out of the water. I think we're really seeing the wave state increase here as they're ripping along.
Time for a reef. Oh, submarine.
Wow. It's like a fire hose when you're sitting there taking all that on.
Yeah. Get it live from Matt Connor up in the helicopter. He says, oh, this is a good bit. We've got him right here. They've got full main up. They've got their...
I said, yes, Betsy's going to go and do it. She needs someone to help her. All in the half stacking that as far back as she can. She's saying yes, I haven't looked.
Very clear communication going on.
Yeah.
Say what you mean what you say.
Get the stack in the back of the bus so we can get this bow out of the water and stop taking these waves over our heads.
You can't sort of use too many words, fluffy conversations. You have to be absolutely crystal clear.
Yeah, it's actually very loud on board right now with the waves crashing and everything. You kind of hear them using their outside voices, right? Getting the message across.
Well, for those of you who've just joined us, we've got the helicopter back in the air, and this is sort of bonus footage, a real treat for us to be able to follow these boats as they head out and watch the breeze increase and the waves increase, and they're all tidying up, ready for sundown, which just comes in a couple of hours here off the coast of Portugal. Now they've got the masthead, that's the fractional 0 and the number 2 jib. It's slightly different from Mapfre, which had the 2 and the 3 up, as well as the masthead 0. Just getting a little wobbly there, a little out of shape. Amazing. Well, as you'll appreciate, we are streaming from the helicopter, so every so often, here we go with the update of where all the teams are. Look at Mapfre, they've got the hammer down, they are going fast, but Dongfeng leading over Mapfre, over Team Brunel, then it's Sung Hun Kai Scallywag, Axo Nobel, and then Turn the Tide on Plastic. And it looks like Vestas 11th Hour Racing, the winner of the previous leg, probably had to take down that masthead 0 and change it to the fractional 0. And that's why they have lost out. And we were talking about that in the show earlier. Jacco van der Horst, Formula 1 racing at sea. Well, I don't know how Formula 1 racing would cope with this stuff. I'd like to see Lewis Hamilton try this. he's a legend though, 4-time world champion in the Formula 1. Favourite athletes. Here we go, Vestas 11th Hour Racing. They've still got their masthead 0 up and no reef.
Very impressive.
Very little distance between the boats right now. Don't worry too much about who's ahead and who's behind right now. Long way to go.
Long way to go, and you know, the race ends in Cape Town, so this is just the beginning. They have a lot of miles, but also a lot of transition in breeze, so they're just kind of settling in, as you said, and finding their groove, not making too many big maneuvers. And important right now to stick with the pack. So I would say that if Charlie was losing a lot, you know, they probably would have made the sail change. But I think it's good to see that they haven't made the sail change. They've made that choice. That's what they wanted out of, you know, on the legs out, and they kept with the masthead and are still ripping along downwind.
That's the masthead 0, the 2, the 3, and an unreefed main. Crank it up, boys and girls. That is cool pictures right there.
And for sure, that's kind of max sail area. And we saw Mapfre going through with the Fro and the J2 and the J3. Vestas is turning it up.
Great paint job. All the paint provided by Axo Nobel, who've sponsored the boatyard and painted all of the boats in these beautiful colours. So cool. Anyway, just stick your comments in. There's Charlie Enright just surfing that boat downwind. Put your comments on Facebook. We'll try and answer your questions and get to you at some point. We've got a wonderful team of people here at Volvo Ocean Race. All your comments are seen. This is the digital age, the social age. Oh, bowsprit burying in the water. Fans from all around the world, thanks for all of your support. And you need to set your alarm and make sure you get up for these live moments. There's Tony Mutter at the back. He's looking like he's trying to sort out that snake's honeymoon. All those ropes all over the place, and he's tidying them up.
Yeah, nice to see. They're putting on their life jackets, clipping in, getting ready for the big sea state. You know, safety first here. This is big waves and big pressure and big power and coming over the hull, coming over the top of the decks.
So Sally, on the scale of fresh to frightening, where are we right here?
We're probably in the middle. You see everybody's quite calm, but the fact that they got so much sail area up, they must feel super in control, taking a nice downwind angle. I think if the sea state increases any more, breeze picks up another couple, 5 maybe knots, you'll see a couple reefs go in. But yeah, I mean, I think back of the bus, clip on, and let it rip, as they say.
So you heard it from Sally Barkow. She sailed around the world on Team SCA last time. Great to have you here in the booth. It's wonderful to get your insight. Oh, down the mine.
You're starting to feel just that impact. I mean, that fire hose, you've had a few wave hits you so hard when you're driving, it like knocks the wind out of you, and that's when you know, okay, maybe we need to do something.
So when in the middle of the night you're lying in your bunk and you bury into a wave there doing 30 knots of boat speed, what's going on?
Well, funny enough, we actually had some seatbelts in our bunks, and I was in the very aft top bunk, and you get tossed around. So you're always sleeping feet forward, make sure that you don't break your neck when that happens. But in the end, we installed some neoprene seatbelts so that we could actually try to get some sleep. But when your body's just getting tossed around in a whirlpool or like you're in a tumble dryer, you're never really able to get any rest. And it's not easy. There's a lot of force down below. Every step you take, you're holding on, you're bracing yourself, and you know, you got to really look out for yourself. Injuries, nicks, cuts in the legs and hands or anything like that are just not good for the next 20 legs or 20 days.
And it's hard to heal in constant wet. Let's listen on board. Festus 11th Hour Racing. Well, one of the things to point out here is all the crew are up on deck right now.
Yeah,
the
and
next
you
thing
see
that's going to happen
is a reef. Yep, that's what's going to happen.
Okay,
yeah.
I was going to say at some point they have to halve the amount of crew on deck, and they've got to do the same thing with half the people on deck.
Yeah, they do, but they'll get this all sorted out. It's a bit like getting ready, as you were saying, for the night, you know, when you're getting your campsite all set and ready before it gets dark. That's what they're doing. They're making sure everything's right. And first thing here is to get the sail area sorted out. So you just sort of saw the bowman go to the mast there. He might have been checking the Cunningham and see, but generally when you see the bow go to the mast, they're setting up for a reef, and I would say that's probably the right call for the masthead.
Share your comments, those of you enjoying this. Oh, big puff. Share your comments, tell us where you're watching from, and you can ask any questions, follow along on all the social media channels. We've even got a game. You can actually sail around the world in your own boat virtually from the comfort of your own living room. So when you're making a cup of tea, these guys and girls are trying to do it at a 30-degree angle, steaming downwind at 30 knots. Can't imagine it.
With a fire hose in your face, huh?
Well, I was very lucky to sail one of these boats this year in the Annapolis to Newport race. We broke the record. We had some incredible driving and got up to 25 knots off New York, and it was quite wonderful. I was right there getting the experience, and it was really good with the Wounded Warrior Sailing Project. Ralphie Stites, you know, Ralphie was sailing one of his boats. It was brilliant.
Great guy.
Here goes the reef. Putting a reef in. Discretion is the better part of valor. Nudging up one more from fresh to frightening, but as Sally says, it's somewhere in between the two, so not quite there yet.
Yeah,
when does it get to frightening?
It gets frightening when you have to do a lot of jibes in this stuff, I think. Then you're really worried about breaking things. You know, right now it's kind of fresh and fun. A bit wild, maybe on the wild side, but yeah, it is really what you live for. This is really the reason why these sailors are out there, the reason why they call it the Volvo Ocean Race.
Yeah, right. And the next mark, folks, is different from previous editions of this race, where they had a waypoint off the coast of Brazil. No waypoints now. The next mark is the finishing line off Cape Town, 7,000 miles distant. 21 to 22 days the routing is calling for. We've got their life jackets on. Great to see that,
yep.
Folks. Safety is no accident, and you can see it from the very best. Life jackets essential. You let go in one of those, and they'll clip themselves on at some point, right?
Yeah, I think that's Nick Dana there by the mast, and he's clipped on. He's just sorting out the Cunningham. They have to spike it to get the main out of the lock. Then they drop it down into one reef, and then make sure the Cunno is made, and then they'll put a lot of pressure on that Cunningham, flatten out the sail, and then take up the outboard reef line, and that's also on a lock. So everything's quite safe once they're in that mode, but you can see they didn't really change angle or lose too much speed to put that reef in. So
yeah.
It's quite a good setup. They'll make sure everything's ready to go.
And just tell us what the Cunningham is. It's not a clever farm animal.
No, it's not, but that would be nice. It's just a line that pulls the sail down from the front there, which we call the luff, straight down, and that'll flatten the sail out and keeping it really secure to the rig.
So we've got a question on Facebook. Sally, you will answer this. How do the tactics or the sort of onboard change when the light goes in these waves sailing at night?
Sailing at night, you know, really it's key right now for these sailors all to get dialed into the wave state as they go before the sun sets. You'll get into a rhythm. At night, you can see what's right around you, so you can, you know, kind of see the whitecaps and all that, and then you're feeling the boat. They're going to be in full moon tonight, so it's going to be actually pretty bright for them. Whoa, big bow up there. They're just leaping over these waves, so you can feel that on the helm. You kind of have to know what's your way out. You know, if you ever sailed a high-performance boat before, you have to know which way is going to get you out of trouble, and right now, to bear away, that'll get them out of trouble. When they're in pitch black, that's the hardest thing. You have to have some numbers in your head, and you got to keep within a range of numbers, compass bearing and apparent wind, and make sure you don't, when you're trying to bail out of a situation, you're not going too low into a jibe, and you're just kind of maintaining a safe range of compass numbers.
And the instruments are on the mast?
Instruments are on the mast right there below the boom. If you see that American-Danish flag, it's just forward of that and lower on the boom. There's 5 B&G instruments there. It has the heading, the wind strength, the apparent wind angle, which has to do with the speed and how fast you're going through the water. And those are just the numbers. That all turns to red light at night, so your eyes can, you know, don't get too whacked out with the bright light. And that's how they drive in these big waves downwind.
Yeah, well, stunning, stunning pictures. Here we go to the virtual eye. Looks like Vestas 11th Hour Racing have got the bit between their teeth now. These thoroughbred racehorses. Here we go from Eero Lehtinen. Sleepless night ahead. Sea legs still a bit numb. Bon voyage, yeah. Well, these are true pros, and they'll be very conscious that they do need sleep, right? You can't do 22 days at sea and not have a routine.
No, and it'll take, like, you know, a day or two. Sometimes it takes, you know, people 2 or 3 days to actually settle into their offshore routine. But because it was, you know, kind of more of a straightforward leg start and now a ripping downwind, I mean, look at those shots. That is that's an ocean. That's a real ocean there.
Right.
Yeah, but it'll take them a few days to settle in, but once they do, they'll be in the sleep rhythm, and they'll actually be able to get some rest. But they'll all be guns blazing here.
Not a stitch of dirt in that picture. It is just ocean. Thanks, Carl Dame. Amazing sailing, best filming ever. I've got to say, this helicopter footage is stunning. Wow, what a treat for us. And we'd finished the broadcast about half an hour ago, and our tech team came out of the gallery and said, actually, we're going to recharge the helicopter. How many knots? Well, they're doing 22 to 25 knots of boat speed in 30 knots of building of wind speed.
Might even be more. They might be doing 30 knots there of boat speed.
What's the latest? Sally's got it, yeah, 32, 34, not
32.7 was the max in the last 30 minutes.
Let's turn the tide on plastic being passed by a container ship, and I'm pretty sure Kefari will be hoping that they didn't lose any of those containers overboard. It's one of the biggest dangers, right? Here's Valerie McMahon. Can you talk a little about how do the import races affect things? The point system, yeah, so on all of the legs of the ocean legs, you get 8 points for a win. You get 6 points for second place. So they basically give a bonus point for the win, and that's to ensure that there's actually a premium for taking a little risk around the racecourse and winning the leg. In previous editions, sometimes the boats have sailed around sort of like sheep in a paddock, all around close to each other. So they've added a bonus point for a bonus if you win the leg. And then we've got 3 ocean legs across the Atlantic and 2 around the Southern Ocean, and those are double points. So you'll get 7 times 2, and then you'll get the extra bonus points. So you'll get 15 points for winning any of those 3 ocean legs, and you'll get 12 points for coming second. You'll get 10 points for coming third, and so on down. The import races, you get just standard points, 7 through down to 1, 7 points for the winner, and those import races will accumulate for the import overall series, which comes with a trophy and much plaudits and admiration from fans and sailors alike, but it won't count towards the overall trophy unless there is a tie break after the ocean points. have all been accumulated. There's one other bonus point, is the team that sails around the world fastest in accumulated time, so the shortest amount of time from start to finish in all 12 of the legs, will be given also given an extra bonus point. I hope that's clear, but the 3 ocean legs are double points. You get 7 points for a win, 1 point for 7th place, and then you get a bonus point for the win, so that gives you 8 on a standard leg. And then for the 3 ocean legs, the 2 Southern Oceans and then the Atlantic leg, you get double points. So if you win, you get 7 times 2, which is 14, plus 1 bonus point. Keep up, please. Get your pens sharp and your pencils. There'll be a test later.
You lost me halfway through that, but I think we got it. I think we're on to it.
Yeah, I'm sure I could have done that more simply, but anyway, go on the Volvo Ocean Race website. You can follow along. Look at these waves.
Yeah.
Wow. Dee Kafari and her Turn the Tide on Plastic team. They had a great stopover here in Lisbon, sort of their home stopover, sponsored by the Mirpuri Foundation, the United Nations. They've got a great message about getting rid of single plastic use water bottles. We've got our reusable water bottles right here in front of us in the studio, and single-use plastic water bottles are the scourge of the ocean. They reckon there's going to be more plastic in the ocean by 2030 than there will be fish in the ocean. And I certainly wouldn't want a dinner of fried plastic.
Yum.
Plastic and chips.
Ugh.
Sounds real bad. Yeah, look at the back of the boat. They've got some of those newbies on board. They'll be pretty wide-eyed right now, Sally. I mean, they are professional sailors, let's face it, but still, this is a real blooding of the crew here.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is going to be a wide-eye open experience for them. And to be honest, the boat looks kind of loose, you know. It looks kind of jumping around the waves. Something that happens here with apparent wind sailing is that if you sail around with the sails too eased, the power of the boat is really unbalanced, so you're really on and off. And I kind of fear that's what's going on right here at the moment, where sails are all a bit eased out, and because they're trying to bleed the power, but then the boat slows down and they have to head up and gain power again. So it's just going to take a little bit for the newbies, as we say, or a little less experienced sailors to dial the boat in and just lock it in so that it can calm down and just be leaping over these waves. You really want to see it leaping instead of surging. Oh, that's massive.
And what happens when all the water goes down below? You have pumps on board, Sally?
Pumps are human muscle pumps. There's,
Really?
yeah, you just go for the bucket and start bailing out. Everything is fairly, as we say, watertight on deck there, with you know, seals around everything that goes down below. But you know, for sure they'll be bailing buckets every watch change. Generally, if you go down below, you know, get a few buckets out for sure in the bow, making sure that you don't want any weight in the bow there. As you can see, you want it just to be surfing above the waves and not digging down. But it's a pretty dangerous place to go down below in the bow. You can really get just thrown from one side to the other.
Awesome. A little slower right there
Yeah,
as they go into the trough of the wave.
You see that surge. We need to really just lock it in. That's what they'll be trying to do. Trimming on that front sail a little bit more so they can be leaping over the waves like we were seeing at Free and Bestis.
The new partner, Sky Ocean Rescue, that's part of the Sky television broadcast mission to try and rid the ocean of plastic. They've got all sorts of initiatives all around the world to try and help do that. There is a real massive surge, and the Volvo Ocean Race is really committed to getting rid of single-use plastic. The ocean is a playground for these sailors, guys and girls, and they've seen it over the last few editions of the incredible increase in plastic in the ocean. And we ask everybody to take the pledge, just something little, anything you like, but get your own reusable water bottle and try and fill it up. You'll start to get used to it, and when you go to a place that has the ability to give you clean water, you can just go and fill it up and put it in your backpack, and it really helps. Every little helps. Any kind of pledge, and once you really start looking at it, you'll be amazed. Oh, wow. You'll be amazed at how much plastic you actually use unnecessarily. We need to turn the tide on plastic.
I reckon the sea state's getting large out there.
Whoa.
Wow.
sketchy.
Yeah, it's getting big.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the mast falls down. You burrow into one of those waves.
Yeah.
Pretty safe.
Yep, pretty safe at the moment. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you basically, mast falls down when you push it too hard or load it up too hard, or yeah, stop and start too quickly.
I can't believe I even said that.
You shouldn't have. I'm pretty sure
we're not talking about stuff like that.
All good.
Di Cafari, yeah, the runners there on the right-hand side, they're all huddled around the runners. Everyone looks like having a nice time, though. Look at that Henry Bombury just sharing a little joke. Di Cafari looking a little more focused, I'd say.
She's got her duck hat on. She's taking the waves. They're all strapped in.
Bianca
nice
Cook and Francesca Clapci.
Clapci, yeah, you butchered that one at the...
Oh, I did a terrible job at the... How do you say it?
Clapchich.
Clapchich. Yeah, I completely butchered it on the Dockout show. I have to pronounce all of these names all quite correctly, otherwise I upset everyone, but I managed to get an apology before she left. Great girl, she's wonderful. What a good sense of humor she had, particularly at my uselessness.
Yeah, I think she might get that often, but she's, yeah, started laser radial expert into the 49er FX, and there she is trimming the main, you know, calling the shots, how much power the boat needs. Really performance sailor, and Dee's pretty happy to have her on boat. 19, 20, surging up to 25 knots sometimes for these guys down the waves.
I hope Matt Connors has eyes on the old fuel gauge on the helicopter, but we are loving it right now. This, for any folks who've just joined us, a little bonus footage. We recharged the credit card, stuck the helicopter up in the air, and we are getting some awesome, awesome pictures. Stunning. I know the cameraman pretty well, Matt Connor. He will be loving this. This is his absolute bread and butter. His life was made for being able to take pictures like this. You won't see the likes of this anywhere. 20 miles offshore the fleet are, and they are leaving in a hurry. 22 to 25 knots of boat speed. Shot out of a cannon from Lisbon. Amazing. Lisbon famous for its adventurers, and these adventurers are taking it on, grabbing it by the neck and shaking these boats downwind. What a shakedown.
What a shakedown. Looks like they're starting to lock it in a little bit better here, which is really nice.
Put a reef in.
Yep.
Okay, turn the tide and plastic. We'll just go to the virtual eye. Thanks to our virtual eye team who are in the gallery and just keeping us appraised of exactly what's going on. That's the front of the fleet, Dongfeng race team, and then Brunel, Matfrey. Do they have AIS on from John Pirabun? Yes, they do. They have to have AIS on all the time so that container ships and traffic around the ocean know where they are. And the AIS goes about 6 miles, is it, Sally? How far can you see under AIS?
Yeah, 6 to 10, depending on the visibility and the radar.
So once you get outside of 6 to 10 miles away from the other boat, you stop seeing them under AIS. And that's when it sort of goes a little dark, and you're just hoping that you're going in the right direction and you're going faster than your competitors. Must be nervous moments.
Really nervous when you're used to, you know, gauging yourselves against somebody else, angle, speed. You can really gauge what sails they're on, and you know, when you're out there on your own, you're sort of at a guessing game, and you're getting a sked every 6 hours. It is, right, for them. So checking in, much rather stay with the fleet when you ever have a choice.
Helicopter's got the hammer down, just going back towards our final boat in the fleet. I think this is Axo Nobel. Okay, Ingeborg Nielsen, amazing pictures, sail strong. Well, thanks very much. We've, in the Dockout show, we had a blessing of the fleet, and we made sure we let everyone know that our thoughts are with them to sail safe. Joseph, 420 dinghy sailor. I call this amazing. Well, we do too. It is a real treat for us. Axo Nobel coming into shot from the helicopter. That's Lisbon way out there, and Cascais, and the amazing tourist area of Sintra, which I highly recommend. Brandon Flack. Andy, who's the youngest sailor in the fleet? Come on. It is...
Scallywag.
On Scallywag, Tom Ben Piggott, thank you. Ben Piggott, the youngest sailor on board. And now you're going to ask me what his name is. Brandon Flack from Connecticut there, phoning in. I do know him, and he's just trying to stitch me up with the most detailed question he could find. I think Ben is just 23, 20,
All right.
maybe 21, 23. I'll get back to you on that. I'll go back to my researchers. I do have it in this huge stack of papers chaotically strewn around now. We got called back into the booth. And this is when I need Niall Myers. He'd know exactly. He'd know to the day. And remember, you can follow. We are doing live updates from Alicante headquarters all through the race. There goes the reef in, and that looks like Brad Ferrand there, just getting the Cunningham in and safely getting the mainsail reefed. All of the life jackets on board. Nikolai Serstedt driving with Simeon Teampont just next to him. And they're getting all their helmsmen and women accustomed, getting them a sort of bit of wheel time before it goes dark, right?
Yeah, that'll be the goal. I think they probably have a watch change before it gets dark here, getting everybody sort of dialed into the conditions so that you can end up sailing with, you know, 3, 4, 5 on deck. They'll probably be 5 on deck through the night, just in case they need to drop a reefing quickly if the breeze builds a second reef. That would be, you know, if it builds over 35 knots, which I don't think it's forecast to, but you just want to be ready for that.
Yeah, forecast is for maximum 35 or so.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's quite different setups on all the boats, Sally, here. Just talk to us about this one right here.
Looks like a J3, the Fro, and reef in the main there. But yeah, I think you can see big differences in the trim here, which is, I think this live footage is really cool to see just because of that. But you see the fractional just quite eased out and free, and the main a bit tighter, and the J3 a bit tighter, where on the Turn the Tide you saw the main quite loose, the J3 quite tight, and the Fro quite loose and kind of all over the place. These guys are a bit more locked in, but you know, as soon as you can take the power on the front, we say, so as soon as you could trim on the Fro and keep the boat under control, you would, you know, and make sure that you can, because they are kind of blasting off on this downwind reach, you know, you want to take the power and run down with it.
Amazing. Let's just look at this. Ben Piggott's 21. Australian. Great job. He's on some Kai Scallywag. Next for the tough question, Brandon Flack. I have to filter these a little more. Whoa! Look at that. Big wave down the mine. And just talk to us about the different setup, because we saw Matt Frey with what they call triple bagging, 3 sails up at the front.
Yep, that's well, when we saw that, you could see that there was space there, and you can actually see it now. There's space in between the 2 front sails to add another one. It can do 2 things. It can create, well, it creates more power, right? And it also can create a little more lift on the bow, which can help to pull the bow up out of the water. And there's space because there's space in the slot. Do you need it in this condition? Is it a truly tested situation? You know, pretty hard to say. We are working with One Design boats, but they did change a few things on these boats. I think a couple pairs of them had done some 2-sail or had done some testing with each other, but it's all about their targets right now and their boat speed targets and what they're comfortable with, really. And they match that with the wave state and if they actually need another sail. Right now, to put up a 3rd sail would be quite a big loss, because you need 1 or 2 maybe people on the bow to plug it in, as you say, put the tack on, put the halyard on, then you have to hoist it, you have to run the sheets back, and you don't need anybody forward of the rig right now. It's just it actually is a very dangerous place, and you have to slow the boat down a little bit to make sure you don't wipe anybody off the bow.
Yeah. Chris Nicholson stuck in there somewhere. We've just got a question in from Peter Montgomery from New Zealand. Are you having fun yet, Andy? Yes, PJ, I'm having a right old time. Peter
True
Montgomery,
voice of sailing,
now just retired from most of his rugby and sailing commentary, but the most famous sailing commentator around. Amazing guy. And Leon Sefton and all of his Kiwi friends here in the gallery give you a big shout out. PJ Montgomery, a veteran of Volvo Ocean Race commentary. Lovely to have you watching. these beautiful pictures of Akzo Nobel. Chris Nicholson on board there. That is their new appointee, along with Peter van Nieuwkerk and Jules Salter back in the mix as their navigator. All Grip, one of the brands of Akzo Nobel. They have actually something called All Wood as well, which is an excellent covering for wooden boats. And I've just used it on my wooden floors. I can highly recommend it. It's amazing. Soft and elasticy. It's real good.
Well done. Well done.
Maybe I'll get 2 free cans. Okay. Well, the helicopter has reached its 25-mile limit and out of fuel. We'll look at Dongfeng race team. Matt Frey, Team Brunel, Sung Hun Kai Scallywag, Vestas 11th Hour Racing, Turn the Tide on Plastic, Akzo Nobel. This leg, 7,000 miles from Lisbon to Cape Town. This is where dreams are made, legends are made, and sometimes shattered and broken. We are going to follow this race for the next 3 weeks. Don't miss a beat. All of it on social media. You can find it all on the VolvoOceanRace.com website, and we look forward to hearing of all of your questions, comments, and enjoy the ride. What a special treat for these amazing pictures out of Lisbon. Thanks everyone for watching. It's been real fun.